How about that?
Who's going to win it, Rob?
Oh,
Pat's Houston.
Man. Oh, this is a tough one, Jules. I want you to go first. Let me hear you.
We got to start off
let's do it.
Patriots Houston. What are you looking forward most to in this matchup?
Obviously, Houston's defense, their secondary versus the Patriots wide receiver, corpse. I mean, we'll see how it goes down. I mean, this defense is, I got to give it to them. I finally saw them play for the first time, like a full game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are just absolutely phenomenal across the board. They got pass rushers that are Pro Bowlers and all pros. They got the linebackers that are, very, very solid, and their secondary is freaking phenomenal as well. So I'm looking at New England's pass game versus secondary of Houston. That's what stands out to me. That's the matchup that I'm looking most forward to.
Well, I'm looking forward towards what's McDaniels going to do on first and second down in the run game against the Houston Texans. I know the Houston Texans against the run, what are they, second against the run, Jackie?
Probably second after the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, they're second against the run. And the only way you could get favorable matchups against that defense on third down is if you keep it short. So you have to win first and second down. You got to play on track, which is tough, against this second-ranked rush defense. But that's ultimately how you're going to keep the guys in check, because last week, you look at it, Will Campbell kind of struggled last week protecting against those LA Chargers. Like he gave up a couple sacks. That pocket was condensed. Now, how do you get rid of that? Let's make it 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6 plus, so they can't run all these exotic twist games, blitzes on defense. And the Houston defense is kind of a do what they do type defense. You know what I mean? They're not going to try to disguise a lot. So I'm really interested to see how Josh McDaniels and the offense runs the ball on those first 2 downs, first and second down, to stay on track to keep those third downs minimal and manageable.
And on top of that, in order for the Patriots to win this game or defeat the Houston's,
So your keys. That's perfect. Let's jump in right to our keys. What's your key?
I would say patience. Why patience for this game? Extra patience, because you're going to have to take what the defense is going to give you. This is going to be a game where, like you said, the short first and second down, Julian, they got to just get a couple chunk yardages at a time. It's not like they're going to have big plays, 20-yard throws.
No negative plays.
That's not going to happen. They got to be patient and just take what's given to them. A little dump off to the running back, that flares out because everyone's covered down the field. Get 3 yards at a time. Like you said, make it very manageable on third down so these defensive ends cannot tee off. And so that's going to really test Drake Maye. This is going to be his hardest test of his career. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's going to be the best team they have faced. Not best team offensively. They're just average on the offensive side of the ball, but the best team defensively by far that the Patriots are facing this year. So patience and take what's given, and also they cannot turn over the ball. They just can't. Instead of, going for it and, trying to force it in and having a possible interception, no, throw the ball away and just punt it, and then let your defense take care of them, as well, and make it a close game instead of giving them a freebie, just because you're trying to, sneak it in or fire a pass in where it shouldn't be going.
Yeah, my keys to the game are pretty similar. You say patience, I say discipline. You got to play disciplined football, okay? You got to be able to kick the ball after every offensive drive. That means taking care of the football. You have to understand that your defense is pretty good too against an offense that's not very good, talking to New England Patriots offense. If they take care of the football, I think they stack up better against that defense, because the Patriots defense is going to give Houston some trouble. That Patriots defense got rolling last week with those 2 big boy tackles.
No, Milton Williams,
and who's the Barmore? Those 2 right there. That's what makes it go. Those 2 guys. So, disciplined on offense, kicking the ball, after every offensive possession, whether it's a punt, playing field position game, or whether it's a field goal, we can't have any interceptions, no fumbles. Drake Maye cannot have the game he had last week. You cannot have that game.
For example, like if it's 4th and 1 and they're on their own 48-yard line, typically that's when you kind of go for it on 4th down. Well, in this case, versus Houston team, I would rather take the chances and punt it and pin them within their own 10-yard line instead of going for it on 4th down. Like, that's the scenarios we're talking. That's how you got to play discipline. That's where you got to play smart, and that's where field position, takes over more than, trying to possibly go for it and get points. So this game's all about strategy going into this one. And Jules, after last week's wild card divisional games, what did you learn about each of these teams, the Patriots and the Texans?
I didn't learn much about the Houston Texans. They were what I expected them to be. Very, very tough on defense, inconsistent on offense. What we learned about the Patriots is their defense can game plan defense. Now they're playing against a beat-up Chargers team, but that defense, we learned that defense can get after the quarterback better than what we've seen all year. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt. They were playing against the worst offensive line in the playoffs at that time. But, I learned that defense still has the ability, when you need it, to get pressure on the quarterback. And the offense, you learn from, with the Patriots, that was the first time we saw Drake look kind of human-ish in a long time, probably going back to that Pittsburgh game. The offense just looked a little sloppy, which they can't do that. So this could be a great thing for both these teams to learn from, to see how urgent you have to be and how these games aren't won by big plays. These games are won by the team that makes the least amount of mistakes.
Yes. What I'm excited about is how is Drake Maye going to respond as well.
I am too.
That's one of his best performances last week, but we've seen him now respond actually throughout the regular season. Sometimes he didn't have that great of a game, and he always bounced right back and just put on a show the very next week or following week after that. So I'm excited to see how he does, going into this week versus his best defense that he's going to face all year long. But what I learned about the Houston Texans is, like I said, I didn't really see them play a full game this year just because there's so many games and all that. So this was the first game I really tuned in. And what I really loved, like everything that I've heard about them, it lived up to the hype, how great their defense is. Their offense isn't that great, but their defense is just so dominant in their pass rush. Well, what I really loved is just watching Will Anderson, after the game. He got interviewed, and just the way that he deflected his answers and gave credit to his teammates and just how humble he was and how well-spoken he was. I became a fan of Will Anderson. I always knew he was a great player at Alabama. Never seen him talk before, never seen him do an interview before, but the way he represented himself, and the organization for the Houston Texans, I was literally like, that's the guy I want on my defensive line if I was a GM or a head coach. Like the way that he just brought his energy to the table. He was a leader, and I appreciated him. And that's one thing I learned. And when you got great guys on your defensive line getting after the quarterback like that and great leaders, it means something as well. So it's good to see that, whenever just someone is a studly like that, in interviews and on the field.
Rose Sparks are a 2-in-1 prescription treatment for guys who need a game-winning play. They dissolve under the tongue to work in 15 minutes on average after medication dissolve.
Timing is everything, on the field and in the bedroom. At a moment's notice, you got to be the big man and come through clutch. I take Rose Sparks to make sure I'm ready to rock when my number is called. When the big moment comes, you have to be prepared. That's why I always keep Rose Sparks on hand. Dissolvables hit the bloodstream faster than old school treatments. No more waiting up to an hour for pills to kick in. With Rose Sparks, guys can get harder, have more control in bed, and more satisfaction for their partners. Rose Sparks gives guys a boost to get harder and last longer. If prescribed, new sexual health patients get $15 off your first order of Sparks on a recurring plan. Connect with a provider at ro.co/dudes to find out if prescription Rose Sparks are right for you. That's ro.co/dudes for $15 off your first order.
You know what? You said something right there. GMs and head coaches. You got to shout out the GM for the Houston Texans, our former guy, Nick Caserio, because he has put together a pretty dang good football team on that defense. And he's got it on offense. It's just, the defense has got a lot of high-paid guys. Their offensive line's kind of banged up. They've been shuffling injuries on the skill group on offense. So, but if you look at that team looks like a good team. So you got to shout out Nick Caserio for putting together, a damn good team on paper. And they've been showing it on defense all year. Oh, and Josh McDaniels' brothers is coaching the receivers.
Wait, for real? I didn't even know Josh McDaniel had a brother that's a coach.
Yeah, he does.
In the NFL as well.
Yeah. He was in college when we were I think he was in college when we were playing.
He's the receiver coach for Houston. We got a McDaniel showdown in the playoffs, baby.
We got a McDaniel
This
showdown.
is what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah, they look similar.
And how about Shane Vereen's in the front office over there in Houston?
Shout out to Verini.
I bet you Caserio got him. He said, I need to get me a little Berkeley
love that
boy.
guy.
I got to get me a Berkeley guy.
Love Shane.
Oh, man.
He's a playoff guy, too. When it comes to playoffs, Shane's always there. He
got
always
a lot of catches in the playoffs.
No doubt about that.
Who's going to win it, Rob?
Oh,
Pat's Houston.
Man. Oh, this is a tough one, Jules. I want you to go first. Let me hear your
I'm going
prediction.
Patriots.
You're going Patriots. Okay.
Look, okay. This defense, if Houston wins, their defense is going to have to do miraculous things.
They really will. The
Patriots are going to have to turn the ball over, which I think they're going to be harping that all week. Take care of the football. I can't see. It's tough. The Houston, who I think 26 points wins this game. 24 points wins this game.
I mean, not even. I think 18 points wins this game.
Nah, maybe 21 points wins this game. So I think this defense, when you look at the Houston Texans, the whole do what they do, they don't disguise. They remind me a lot of those old Legion of Boom Seattle defenses where you knew what they were doing. Every team knew what they were doing, but you couldn't beat them. I think Josh always, when we were playing against defenses like that, we always had great plans. And it's going to be different because you have to have the discipline at the quarterback position to take what they give you if you're going to play a team like this. And the receiver group has to get vertical because everyone's on a string on defense. But I like Josh's game plan to be able to outscore what Houston's offensive game plan is going to be, I think.
When you say, Julian, you know what a team's going to do, and you still can't beat them, and they're going to do what they're going to do, it's because the guys on the field are great football players.
Great football players.
Like the Legion of Boom, in Seattle. We knew what they're going to do. We knew what their coverages were going to be. Why they don't have to disguise and make it all difficult? Because they got such talented players on the field that if you just line
Houston
them up.
definitely does.
And that's what Houston has. You just line them up one-on-one, they're going to win majority of the time. And that's why, they just stick to what they do because it's working. And when you got dominant players, that's when coaching goes out the window. And that's when, great players step up. And that's why you have a great team because guys on the field are going to factor in if you win or lose the game. And if you go down, all the way to the Super Bowl and have a team like Houston at defense, it's because, yes, they got good coaching, but also these guys are talented. These guys are football players, and it's hard to beat them just one-on-one. So I would say, though, if the Patriots win this game, it is because of the coaching. This is the only game because of the way that the Patriots game plan with McDaniels and Vrabel, just their mindsets and how they work. If there's going to be a team that exposes, the weaknesses of the Houston Texans, it's this game, coming up versus the Patriots. It's the Patriots who are going to expose them. And they're going to find ways, and personnel groups to be able to have the advantage out on the football field, against this defense.
Drake Maye has to be Drake Maye too.
Yes,
Drake
he
Maye,
will be.
He's got to go. He's got to have some big plays with his legs, some big plays with they got to be disciplined. But when there's a shot, you got to be able to hit it. And he needs a couple big plays with those legs. But I think the Patriots can win this game.
And so, therefore, after saying all that, I think Drake Maye will be on, because that's why he wasn't, too par last week, because he was saving it for this week, Jules. It's kind of what I did sometimes. Oh, we got this game under the wraps. It's the fourth quarter. I don't need to go full out. But next week, I'm going to save my legs. That's what Drake Maye was doing, Jules. That's how big of a genius this guy is.
Who
He's
you
a step
picking?
ahead. I'm going with Patriots. They're exposing the Houston Texans from game planning and Drake Maye playing, at 100%.